Hey guys, what's going on? I guess this will be part 5, and I've not even made it to the actual backhoe part. I'm still on the engine. I went out today and got a new head gasket, and I got a new gear for the starter, so I'm going to go ahead and replace that. And then I'm going to do another compression check. Earlier, I didn't show this in the video, but when I did the compression check on it, it was 60 psi the second time. The first time it was around 100, 105, and then for some reason afterwards it dropped down to 60. So I knew something was wrong, checked my valves were fine. When I got to looking, that's not good. The head gasket was pretty messed up, and I should have replaced it in the beginning anyways, but I don't know, I was just really cheap. So I'm going to pull the starter off, replace that, and then I'm going to put the head gasket back on. Then we're going to do another compression check. Okay, to get the actual starter apart, there's this little snap ring. It's not really a snap ring, it's just a retainer pin. And it's kind of a pain to get off, but it's an even bigger pain to get on. And trying it with 2 screwdrivers didn't seem to help. So what I've done is just take a pair of pliers and get it right on the top and then hit the top with a hammer. The only thing you gotta watch for is if it pops off, you gotta be super quiet and listen to where it hits at. And that's probably the easiest way that I found to get that on. Okay, now this is on a cold engine as well, and the cylinder is also dry. I didn't put any lubrication in the cylinder. And we're still running about 60 psi. So the head gasket was not my problem. Okay, for some reason I'm still getting 60 psi, so I dropped some oil down in the top of the engine, and we'll see if that helps. Yep. That does, so that's a bad sign. Alright, so I'll pull the cylinder head again, and I noticed chunks of metal in the top of the cylinder head. Not real big, really fine chunks of metal. So, coming from somewhere. The valves seeds still look good. So I would imagine that I have probably, I don't know, broken a ring. The cylinder's not scarred at all though, is what's weird. No scarring on the cylinder. But I don't know where else that could come from. Check the top of the head. There's nothing on top of the head. You'd think that if I broke a ring, it would scar the cylinder head up. Yeah, I see where it's, well, I mean, I think that I see where it's not scarred it, but you can see where it has rubbed it a little bit, but there's no scarring to it whatsoever. I don't know, what do y'all think? Hey guys, what's going on? This is part 5 of my tractor build, still on the engine. I shot a bunch of video earlier, and when I went to edit it, I was racking my brain trying to figure out what was going on with this motor. When I first did a compression check, I had 105 psi, and then I lapped that was after I lapped the valves and put everything back together. And then I checked it later on, and it was like at 70. and I could not figure out what was going on, and I still might not have, but after I couldn't get it to run, I pulled the head, and there was little teeny tiny particles of metal, like super super fine, and the cylinder wall is not scarred at all, and I was racking my brain, could not figure out what was going on, but I might have and I might not have. Why it is not running, I have no clue. It hit earlier and it was running, and I hit the governor and it died out and I couldn't get it to start back. Why was there little chunks of metal on top? I think that was particles left over from the graphite on the head gasket. Hopefully. There was one, I wouldn't say it was sizable, but one that was bigger than the other, but I don't know, I didn't examine that to see if it was actually the head gasket or what. I saw the little pieces and I was like, I've broken a ring, but I could not figure out why it wouldn't scar the cylinder. Well, I got to thinking when I was sitting upstairs editing the video. When I was doing the compression check, the throttle was closed. I know it's an amateur mistake. So what I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to re-put the head back on, torque the head gasket down, and do a compression check and see if the compression's up where it should be with the throttle open. The throttle stays closed on this where I have no linkages hooked up, so I'm hoping that that's the problem. And the little chunks of metal, it has to be from the head gasket because the cylinder wall is fine. It was on top. I'm not sure, so I'm going to throw that on real quick and we're going to do a compression check again with the throttle open this time. Okay, I got the head gasket back on and got them all torqued. It's real important to torque them down in the correct order and the correct poundage. Now, when I went over and got the head, I noticed that there was one little fin that had been broken off near the spark plug, and that may be how one of the little teeny tiny pieces of metal got in there, because I had the spark plug in and out a bunch. I poured oil down in the top of the hole, so that could be one of the reasons. Now I'm going to hook I already got the gauge hooked up, so I'm going to go ahead and hook it up and crank it over. Okay, I'm ready to go. This might be hard to do, but I'm going to have to just leave the gauge over here, and I'll show you after I get it done because I need two hands. So I got the choke all the way open and the throttle all the way open, and let's see what happens. And we're running right at 110 psi. One more time, just for good measure. Right at 110. Now, if I leave the throttle closed, as you can see, we're running at 70. So that is a huge load off of my mind, because I thought that I was losing compression somewhere, which I wasn't. I was just absent-minded and forgot to hold the throttle open. So now the next step is, why is it not running? But it's a good thing that we have compression, because that's, I guess, one of the main elements that you need. So tomorrow I'll get into this even more and we'll go from there. As always, thanks for watching.
Good. You're taking strong forward from the north. Slow down. No sweat.